You're experiencing Hoops Peterson himself on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We're back here on the Greg Peterson Experience on VSiN, the sports betting network, and it is great to be joined by Tanner Kern, who does great work over at DraftKings. He does a little bit of everything: football, basketball, baseball, you name it, he does it. And Tanner, it's always great to have you aboard, my friend. Thank you.
Greg, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Always appreciate you, and I know that Tanner does a great job as one half of the Ride the Line podcast, which you're able to find wherever you get podcasts. And I know that you and our good other friend who joins this show every single week, and Grant Mitchell, you guys have been taking quite a bit of a look here at the NBA playoffs. And I think that this one is fascinating because now we know the opponent that the winner of this series is going to be playing in the Warriors and the Lakers series. Winner of this one, they're going to be taking on the Nuggets that just completely lambasted the Phoenix Suns, who pretty much had Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and a bunch of other dudes pretty much out there. But that said, with the Lakers, find them as 2.5-point favorites for this game on Friday. How do you view this one? Because we've got an Andrew Wiggins injury situation. Anthony Davis, it seems like, should be good to go, but that's something to monitor as well. I think you got flat out the Warriors stinking on the road all season long.
Yeah, I just can't trust the Warriors on the road, and that's my main reason to stay away from them in this spot. I fade them on the road throughout the playoffs. It's been pretty good to me. Obviously, they've come up with some big wins, and I do want to give credit to them. Games within 10 points, they've actually been pretty successful in throughout the postseason. But when you look at them right now, they don't have the team to get the job done here. I know Steph Curry is going to show up. We've seen that throughout the entire postseason, but we don't know what we're going to get from the other guys. You look at the last game, Draymond Green had 20 points. I don't think we get that again. You said Andrew Wiggins with the injury, he had 25 points. So you take him out of the equation, that's another dent in the armor of the Golden State Warriors. Look at Steph Curry. Obviously, he's going to play well. Klay Thompson, Game 6 Klay, loading. Who knows? I just don't see it from this team. The bench isn't impressing me. And we don't know what we're going to get from Jordan Poole as well. Is he going to go nuclear? I don't know. I can't say he is because he only had 11 points in the last game. Obviously didn't need to step up because the starters were critical for them. But still, it's just not enough when you look at this Los Angeles team right now, how they're playing. The thing about the Lakers is they're not going to show up at times. We saw that in the last game. They look uninterested. But for the most part, they are the better team on the floor, especially when LeBron James gets the scoring started. So I'm going to look for LeBron to have a big night. AD is going to chip in, and then the rest of the guys are going to show up and go to work. And that's why the Lakers are going to cover the spread in this spot. They've been the better team throughout the entire series, and we're going to see that series end in this game.
Yep, I do agree with you. I do feel like the Lakers are the better team, and just flat out the Warriors. In the regular season, they won 11 road games, and one of those road games is when the Sacramento Kings were starting guys like Alex Len and company. So just really hard to have any faith in them. And I recognize that Steve Kerr has won at least one road game in every series that he's coached in for the Golden State Warriors. But as the old saying goes, all good things must come to an end at some point. And I think that's going to be coming to an end on Friday. Will the run for the New York Knicks be coming to an end on Friday? That's the question. And right now, if you look at the betting line, they're thinking yes, as the Miami Heat are a 5.5-point favorite, up from the opener of 4.5. Total between 208 and 208.5. How do you view this one? Because with the Knicks, they played much more inspired basketball a few nights ago to be able to push us to a Game 6. But the Miami Heat, they have been much better at home than they were at any point during the regular season here in the postseason. And I think for the New York Knicks, just what you're going to be able to get out of Julius Randle is going to decide this game.
So there's one player in the NBA playoffs that can fully change a series, and that is Jimmy Butler for the Miami Heat. When you look at the Heat, they're really not that good around him. It's amazing they've been to this spot, but it's because of Jimmy Butler. The New York Knicks were able to pull off a big win last time because of Julius Randle. As you said, he dropped 24 points. And then we saw Jalen Brunson take over the second half of that game. He had 38. RJ Barrett had 25 plus. Like, he was really good as well. So when you look at the Knicks, everything went right for them in the last game. That has not been the case throughout the series. They've looked uninterested. They've played uninspired basketball, and they haven't been efficient from the floor. And I think we're going to see that New York Knicks back on the road against the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler was not fantastic in the last game. I think he's going to be better in this one. And you're also getting a lot of contributions from Bam Adebayo, not only scoring the basketball, but he's being very physical in the paint, and he is out rebounding Julius Randle. And I think that's critical. If Randle shows up and obviously plays physical in the paint and gets after it, New York might have a little bit better of a chance. But I'm going to be on the Heat here all the way and lay the points because they're the better team. You look at Jimmy Butler, he's been fantastic. And Bam Adebayo is playing tougher down low than Julius Randle. Randle's pretty much looked uninspired throughout this entire series. He's looked uninterested. He looks like he hasn't wanted to play basketball for a lot of it. And I just can't count on him to be efficient in this game. And that's why I'm going to ride with the Heat.
Yep, I don't blame you there. And with the Miami Heat, they just seem to be the team that's wanted it more in this series, for lack of a better term. I wish I could have a more eloquent reason for it, but even Julius Randle, I was alluding to earlier, prior to the team winning in Game 5, he just even admitted that they were being out-efforted. And when it comes to effort, we certainly saw that from the Denver Nuggets. They were able to get it done against the Phoenix Suns. And we just touched upon the Lakers versus Warriors game with you, Tanner, right here on the Greg Peterson Experience on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. But in terms of the Nuggets, who do you think they would match up a little bit better against, the Lakers or the Golden State Warriors?
So if you're the Nuggets, I would rather play the Warriors, one, because they can't win on the road, two, because they just simply have not delivered throughout the postseason. If you're the Lakers, I mean, if the Nuggets are looking at the Lakers, they should be a little concerned just because they're a better, well-rounded team. You have LeBron James, you have Anthony Davis, you have D'Angelo Russell. You have guys who have been there and done that. I'm not saying the Warriors haven't, obviously, they're the defending NBA champions, but they haven't looked like a championship team throughout the postseason. So if you're Denver, you're probably hoping Golden State comes back and wins this series in 7 games. I don't see it happening. And if you are the Nuggets right now, you should probably count on playing the Lakers.
Yeah, I would say so as well. I find it a uphill battle, to say the least, for the Golden State Warriors right now. And with the Denver Nuggets, like the way that they have been performing here in the postseason. So we are not going to be getting that Game 7, but we're getting this Game 7 between the 76ers and the Boston Celtics. The 76ers shot about the way that the two of us would have shot in the fourth quarter yesterday, but that said, with the Boston Celtics, right now we're finding them anywhere between about a 7 to a 7.5 point favorite. We're seeing a divide between 7 and 7.5, and this total is dropping like a rock. Open up at 204.5, which, for those that are wondering, yes, this is a big drop-off from game number 6, in which the total closed more around 210.5, 211.5. So we've seen already an 8-point move, and it just continues to go downward even further. And with the Celtics, as I mentioned, between 7 and 7.5 point favorites, how do you view this one? Because I do think that the 76ers, asking them to win 3 games on the road is a bit too much, but I also think that 7 to 7.5 might be a little bit too lofty for a Game 7.
I don't like this line either side. I don't want to lay the points with the Celtics, and I don't want to take the points with the Sixers. First off, we got to talk about Jason Tatum. What he did tonight was unreal, and I know he didn't score throughout the entire game until the fourth quarter, but you got to give him credit. The mentality that he has to stay locked into this basketball game and be that efficient down the stretch. He was cold-blooded, and he single-handedly led the Celtics to the win tonight. I was scrolling through Twitter, and a lot of people were like, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Yes, he did. I think it's more impressive for a guy to not score the entire game and come out and shoot like he did in the fourth quarter rather than have 30-plus going into the fourth quarter and be great, because you already had that confidence. So I was so impressed with Jason Tatum tonight, and that's going to be the critical measure for this next game. Tatum's got to be fantastic. He can't start slow, because you can only get away with that so much. If he doesn't come alive in the fourth quarter, the Sixers do win this game tonight. So if Tatum comes out firing, Jaylen Brown gets the job done, and the Celtics just play the basketball that they have played throughout the entire season, they will win this game and probably cover this number. But I would rather live bet it, because I don't trust them, and I don't trust the Sixers to go on the road and get a win. Overall, when you look at the Celtics right now in their path to the NBA Finals, they should walk right to the NBA Finals. It shouldn't be that hard. They're better than the Sixers. They've given games away this entire series. They gave games away in the Hawks series. And I know that one wasn't much of a sweat for them, but they loved giving games away. So I think they get this job done. I think they get the job done in the next round. Who knows with the Celtics team? Some nights you're going to get a good team. Some nights you're going to get a bad team. But overall, they're better, and I will live bet it, but I'm counting on them to win.
I love what you were saying. So you're pretty much calling the Boston Celtics the Oprah Winfrey of the NBA. You get a game. But in the end, they've been able to get that far. And how much do you think that James Harden really decides this game? Because I think that's a little bit correlated to where if James Harden goes over his point total, it's boding relatively well for the Sixers. Meanwhile, if he goes under, it's, well, doomsday for the 76ers.
So we know Joel Embiid's going to be great. Obviously, the Sixers have a presence in the paint that the Celtics just simply can't match. But the thing about Boston is they make their three-pointers and they shoot the ball a lot from outside the arc. James Harden's that same kind of shooter. If he goes over his point total, they definitely have a better chance to win. Every game the Sixers have won, I believe he's gone over his point total. It seems like he's breaking Celtics fans' heart every time they have won a game in this series. So if he's not great, the Sixers do not have a chance at all. But if he is, they definitely have a chance. Again, I think it's a big ask for them to pick up another win on the road, and that's why I'm going to be on the Celtics here. But live bet it because you're going to get better value.
Yep, absolutely. I do think that the Celtics get it done. Just laying a touchdown, a little bit tough there, but always love having Tanner Kern of DraftKings aboard. And coming next, we go from the NBA action to the MLB with him right here on the Greg Peterson Experience on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Great to be rejoined by Tanner Kern. Does great work over at DraftKings, taking a look at so many different things, football, basketball, baseball, you name it, he does it. And let's take a look at some games for Friday, as this team has been on an almighty slide. For the New York Mets, it has been less than terrific this year, and I didn't think we'd be finding ourselves in mid-May with them only being about a minus 125 to a minus 130 favorite against the Washington Nationals, seeing as high as minus 135, but here we are. How do you view this one? Because with the Mets, I do think that this is a better team than the 18-20 team that has shown up thus far. Mackenzie Gore is honestly a relatively solid starter for the Washington Nationals. Just until that Nationals offense is able to pick it up, I just can't trust them on this short of a line.
Yeah, and the offense is exactly why I'm going with the New York Mets. At least they have a guy on pace to hit 40 home runs this season. That is Pete Alonso. Tyler McGill versus Mackenzie Gore. That matchup kind of evens out in my mind. They both have whips in the mid-ones. They both have ERAs around a 4. Tyler McGill's a little higher at a 4.3. Mackenzie Gore is a little lower at a 3.7. So I look at the pitching matchups, though, pretty even on both sides. The power numbers really favor the New York Mets in this spot. 41 team home runs compared to just 24 for the Washington Nationals. Same thing with the runs there. 158 runs for the Mets, 149 for the Nats. I just think New York's going to overpower them throughout this game, and I do trust them to hit Mackenzie Gore a lot more than I trust the Nats to hit McGill. When you look at the Mets, they have been on a slide, but this is a great spot to get back on track, and I think they're going to rally around that and show up this weekend and get a series win, and it starts on Friday night.
I absolutely agree with you. I do like the Mets at this price as well, being able to get them below a minus 130 in a lot of spots. I think that that's very good value, and I think that there's some value with this team as well. After a rough start to the season, the LA Dodgers have been able to pick it up. They're playing us to the San Diego Padres, and I think the biggest reason why you've got extremely good value with the Dodgers, as between about minus 140 to minus 145 favorites, is that Blake Snell is on the other side for the San Diego Padres, and I know that there's always pitchers that those of us baseball bettors love to bet and love to fade. Blake Snell is right now on my fade list until we see an adjustment on these numbers, because it feels like he's just getting way too much respect in the market.
He just can't throw a strike. That's his issue. First pitch strikes have been killer for him. 1-1 counts have been killer. And if pitchers are not converting in these situations, I definitely don't want to bet on them. And when you look at the Dodgers, they should have a lot of confidence coming into this matchup. They just beat the Padres in a 3-game series a week ago. They beat the Brewers in a 3-game series last series out. And Dustin May is going to be on the mound for them. He's been fantastic this season. 4-1, 2.68 ERA, a whip under 1. 40 innings, not the biggest strikeout guy in the world, but only 23 hits allowed with 1 home run. That takes an element away from the Padres game. And on top of that, they really haven't hit close to as many home runs as the Dodgers this season. Los Angeles has hit 64. San Diego's hit 41. We know to win a Major League Baseball, it's with the long ball, and the Dodgers have the advantage there. When it comes to the pitching matchup for the Padres, Blake Snell is going to throw, as I said. Again, really struggling early in counts. 4.89 ERA and a 1.57 whip. You can't value him at a 1.57 whip. He's got 21 walks in 35 innings, and that just speaks to how much he's had location issues this season. So this is a no-brainer in my mind for the price. Take the Dodgers here. The Padres will win a game in this series. I just don't see it happening on Friday night.
Yep, I agree with you. I do think that it's going to be a little bit of a rough state of affairs for the Padres in this one. I think that perhaps Joe Musgrove could give them a little bit of a better opportunity later on in the week, but can't get behind the Padres with Blake Snell on the mound. And I can't get behind any sort of a team that's trotting out their Ken Waldichuk, as that's what the Oakland A's are trotting out there against the Texas Rangers. Now, I will say, I do think that Ken Waldichuk, when it's all said and done, his home runs per nine rate will fall below 3, which it is right now, because a pitching machine, I think, would have a home runs per nine rate below 3 as well. But he's going up against Martin Perez of the Texas Rangers. With the Rangers, if you're out here at Circuit, you're able to get them as low as a minus 165 on the money line, which that's honestly, in my opinion, relatively cheap. The total is 8.5 as well. How do you view this game? Because right now, for me, unless if I'm getting some sort of a mondo number with the Oakland A's, it's just a big giant pass for me on them.
So as much as I like the money line here, I'm going to go run line and say the Rangers can win this game by 2. You might even want to take an alternate spread at minus 2.5, because anytime you do that against the Oakland Athletics, it's never a bad bet because they look like a AAA team out there. But this is a prime run line spot for the Texas Rangers. They're on the run line, or they're on the road, and they have a much better team than the Oakland Athletics. So they're guaranteed those 9 at-bats in the spot, which is going to be really critical for them covering that minus 1.5 spread here. Ken Waldichuk's on the bump, as you said, Greg. Not been good. 1-2, 7.25 ERA and a 1.75 whip. 36 innings on the bump, 45 hits, and 12 homers allowed. That's not very good at all. And it doesn't really set the Athletics up for much success. And I don't want to take away from Oakland's offense because they have been sneakily good this season. They've been over Kings because of that. They give up a lot of runs and they score a lot of runs. Martin Perez on the bump has not been great for Texas, but been much better for Waldichuk. 4-1 with a 3.86 and 1.55 whip. I look at him. I think he's going to pitch decent. I do think the Athletics are going to score runs, so you might want to look at the over in this spot as well. But Texas's bat should just overpower Oakland throughout this entire game, and they should win by 2+ runs in this spot.
And always keep in mind in Oakland during the nighttime that you've got the Marine layer out as well, which that always hurts for offense as well, which is why you'll find the Oakland A's having a lot more success on the road rather than at home with the bats, as well as Tanner Kern, who does amazing work over at DraftKings, is joining me right here on the Greg Peterson Experience on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, taking a look at a little bit of baseball here for this Friday. And how about if we dive into another American League game, this one involving the White Sox and the Houston Astros. And, I mean, if you've ever heard of the movie The No Good, Very Bad, Terrible Day, that has been the entire season for the Chicago White Sox right now, as they're going to be facing off against a man by the name of France here in the United States. JP France goes for the Houston Astros against Michael Kopech of the White Sox. Man, with Michael Kopech, it's been rough thus far this season, and I recognize that JP France is making his second career start, but until we get north of a plus 150 on the money line of the White Sox, which right now I'm finding it between about plus 130 to a plus 140, just a big giant pass for me on the White Sox.
Yeah, we were talking during the break about Baseball is Dead, the podcast from Jared Carabas and Dallas Braden over at DraftKings. And if you've never listened to it, you should, because they open up the phone lines for teams that are struggling. And one of those teams was Chicago White Sox. And those fans are very upset, and they have a very good right to be upset, because there's very few players on this team that look like they can actually play baseball. Tim Anderson being one of them, obviously. Dylan Cease, another one on the mound. But for the most part, this team has underperformed. And that young core that we thought was going to be really special and develop into something just simply hasn't done that. Michael Kopech's going to be on the bump, 1-3. ERA approaching a 6 with a 1.6 whip, 37 innings. He's given up 37 hits. He is a decent strikeout pitcher, but the walks have just been oppressing for them. 22 in 37 innings and 12 home runs. You just simply can't do that and expect to win games. And Michael Kopech was a guy that they were going to count on this season. This isn't a back end of the rotation guy. This is a dude that they thought could do something for them. He just simply hasn't delivered. JP France making his second big league start, as you said, but the first one was pretty good. He went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, and only 1 walk. All he has to do is pepper the zone in the spot, and I don't see the Chicago White Sox doing a lot. Yordan Alvarez has been sensational this season, 283 batting average, 8 home runs, 34 RBIs. He's delivering in high leverage situations, and the fact of the matter is, the White Sox just don't have that guy that's going to deliver, especially now Eloy Jimenez on the 10-day injured list. That's a guy that was actually starting to show up and do something for him. So without his bat in the lineup, I just can't see them coming close to beating the Astros in this game and probably throughout the rest of the series.
And the only issue that you've got with JP France, if you look at his minor league numbers, he did give out quite a few walks. Good news for him, the Chicago White Sox have no idea that you can actually take a pitch. You don't have to swing at every single one of them, which it's just mind-numbing what they do at the plate. So that works in the favor of our good friend, Mr. France. And let's close it up with this one. We've got the Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles, a Pirates team that has scored 3 runs or fewer in 9 straight games after they got off to the best record in the National League. Yohan Oviedo takes a bump for them against Kyle Bradish. You've got the Orioles between minus 155 to minus 160 favorites. How do you view this one? Because Bradish, not necessarily the world's greatest arm, but at the same time, this Pirates team is really struggling at the plate.
So we thought the Pirates are going to be really good after they went on a little bit of a heater there, but once they faced some legitimate competition, it went downhill. Got swept by the Rays, swept by the Blue Jays, won 1 game against the Rockies. So they've won 1 game in their past 10. Has not been good at all. Tampa Bay, the Orioles, I should say, just beat Tampa Bay in 2 of 3 games. They entered this game at 24-13 with the second best record in the American League. They've been really good. Now the pitching matchup here, Bradish versus Oviedo. Again, I think these guys kind of cancel out, but when I look at the offenses here, I trust the Orioles a lot more. Adley Rutschman has been really good. And this young core for Baltimore, it's probably the most fun team in baseball to watch, in my opinion. I'm going to be on them in this spot. I can't trust the Pirates again until they start winning games.
Yep, and until they score 3 runs or more, but a man that always delivers in the clutch, that'd be Tanner Kern. Does great work at DraftKings. Big thanks to him for joining me on the Greg Peterson Experience.